The year was 1963, and the world was teetering on the edge of a knife, divided by the invisible line of the Iron Curtain. It was a time of secrets, of mistrust, and of battles fought in the shadows. But in the midst of this global tension, two lives, seemingly worlds apart, were about to converge in a way neither could have imagined. Anna Carlisle had always been driven by a relentless curiosity. As a journalist, she had a knack for finding stories in places others feared to tread. Her work had taken her from the jungles of Vietnam to the streets of Paris, but it was the Cold War that now gripped her attention. Stationed in West Berlin, Anna was determined to uncover the stories that lay beneath the surface of this divided city. Every morning, Anna would walk to her office near the Brandenburg Gate, passing by the imposing structure of the Berlin Wall that cut through the city like a jagged scar. The sight of it never ceased to fill her with a sense of unease. It was a symbol of the divided world she reported on, but also of the countless untold stories trapped on the other side. One day, as she sifted through her mail, a plain, unmarked envelope caught her eye. Inside was a single sheet of paper with a message written in careful, deliberate handwriting. "I have information that might interest you. Meet me at the Café Adler at noon. Tell no one." Anna's heart raced. She knew the risks of responding to such a note, but her curiosity and journalistic instincts overrode her caution. She arrived at the café a few minutes before noon, her eyes scanning the room for anyone who might look out of place. The Café Adler was a popular spot, frequented by diplomats, journalists, and occasionally spies, all hoping to gather or trade information in the shadow of the wall. At exactly noon, a tall man entered the café, his presence commanding attention even though he moved with quiet assurance. He had the air of someone who was used to remaining unnoticed, yet Anna couldn't help but watch as he approached her table. He was dressed in a dark, conservative suit, his black hair combed back, though a few strands fell forward, softening his otherwise stern appearance. "Anna Carlisle?" he asked in a low, accented voice. She nodded, motioning for him to sit. "And you are?" "Dmitry Volkov," he replied, his blue eyes meeting hers with an intensity that made her feel as though he could see right through her. "I'm a scientist from the other side." Anna's heart skipped a beat. A Soviet scientist, here in West Berlin, meeting with her? This was the kind of story she had been waiting for, but she knew it would come with a price. "What do you want from me?" she asked, trying to maintain her composure. "I've been working on something dangerous," Dmitry said, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's a project that, if completed, could change the balance of power between our nations. I need to get this information to the West, but I can't do it alone." Anna leaned in closer, her mind racing with the possibilities. "Why me?" "Because you're the only one I can trust," Dmitry replied, his gaze never wavering. "Your work speaks for itself. You've exposed truths that others have tried to hide. I believe you'll know what to do with the information I'm about to give you." Anna felt a surge of both excitement and fear. She had dealt with sensitive information before, but this felt different. It wasn't just a story. It was something that could alter the course of history. Over the next hour, Dmitry explained his situation in more detail. He had been working on a top-secret project in Moscow, a new type of weapon that could potentially tip the scales in the Cold War. However, as the project progressed, Dmitry became increasingly concerned about the ethical implications of his work. He had tried to express his concerns to his superiors, but his pleas were dismissed. Realizing the danger, he made the difficult decision to defect. "But I can't just walk away," Dmitry said, his voice tinged with frustration. "They're watching me. If I disappear, they'll know something is wrong. That's where you come in." Anna listened carefully, her mind working through the logistics. Getting someone out of East Berlin was no small feat, especially someone as high-profile as Dmitry. But she knew people who specialized in moving goods and information across the Iron Curtain. "I can help you," she said finally, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her insides. "But it's going to be dangerous. You need to be prepared for that." "I've already made my choice," Dmitry replied, his tone resolute. I'd rather die doing the right thing than live knowing I helped create something that could destroy millions. Anna nodded, admiring his conviction. Over the next few days they worked out the details of the plan. Dmitri would smuggle out key documents related to the project, disguised as research notes. Meanwhile, Anna would use her contacts to arrange for his escape to the west. The day of the escape arrived, shrouded in the cold gray fog that often settled over Berlin. Dmitri had arranged for a brief meeting with his superiors in East Berlin, during which he would slip away. Anna, along with a trusted contact from the West German intelligence service, waited near a checkpoint on the western side, their nerves on edge. As the minutes ticked by, Anna's anxiety grew. The longer Dmitri took, the greater the risk of something going wrong. She scanned the street, her heart pounding with every passing second. Then in the distance she saw him, a tall figure moving quickly through the crowd. His coat pulled tight against the chill. Dmitri's eyes met Anna's as he approached, and for a brief moment, she saw the fear and determination in his gaze. Without a word, they moved swiftly to the car waiting nearby, the engine already running. As they sped away from the checkpoint, Anna let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The drive to the safe house was tense, every streetlight and shadow feeling like a potential threat. But they made it, slipping into the small, nondescript building on the outskirts of the city. Inside, Anna's contact took Dmitri's documents, promising to get them into the right hands. "You did it," Anna said, turning to Dmitri once they were alone. "You're safe now." Dmitri nodded, but there was no relief in his expression. "Safe, perhaps. But I can never go home again." Anna understood the weight of his words. In his decision to defect, Dmitri had not only risked his life but also left behind everything he had ever known. For a moment, the gravity of what they had done settled over them, filling the room with a heavy silence. But as the days passed, that silence began to give way to something else, a growing bond between them. With his defection complete, Dmitri had nowhere to go, no one to turn to. Anna offered him a place to stay, a small apartment she rarely used, and he accepted. It was there, in the quiet moments away from the world's prying eyes, that they began to open up to each other. Anna learned that Dmitri had been born in a small village in Siberia, where he had developed a fascination with the stars that eventually led him to study physics. He had been recruited by the Soviet government straight out of university, his intelligence and dedication making him a prime candidate for their most secretive projects. Dmitri, in turn, learned about Anna's childhood in rural Pennsylvania, her father's encouragement of her love for writing, and her determination to break into the male-dominated world of journalism. They found common ground in their shared experiences of feeling like outsiders, of being driven by a desire to seek out the truth, no matter the cost. As they spent more time together, their connection deepened. Dmitri admired Anna's bravery and her unwavering commitment to her work, while Anna was drawn to Dmitri's quiet strength and his willingness to stand up for what he believed in. It wasn't long before their friendship blossomed into something more. But their happiness was tinged with a constant sense of danger. They knew that the KGB would not give up on finding Dmitri, and that their lives could be upended at any moment. Despite this, they clung to each other, finding solace in their shared struggle. One evening, as they sat together on the balcony of Anna's apartment, watching the lights of West Berlin flicker in the distance, Dmitri turned to her, his expression serious. "Anna," he began, his voice steady but tinged with emotion, "I don't know what the future holds for us. I don't know if I'll ever be truly free from my past. But I do know that I want to face whatever comes next with you by my side." Anna's heart swelled at his words. She had always been fiercely independent, but in Dmitri, she had found someone she could truly rely on, someone who understood her in a way no one else ever had. "I want that too," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Whatever happens, we'll face it together." They kissed, sealing a promise that was as much about survival as it was about love. In that moment, they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them as a team. Their relationship remained a closely guarded secret, known only to a few trusted friends and colleagues. Anna continued her work as a journalist, using her platform to subtly expose the truths Dmitri had shared with her. Meanwhile, Dmitri found ways to contribute to the West's scientific community, though always under a pseudonym, his true identity hidden from all but a select few. As the years passed, the Cold War continued to rage, but Anna and Dmitri's love only grew stronger. They faced moments of doubt, of fear, but always found their way back to each other. In the end, it was their shared belief in the power of truth and their unwavering commitment to each other that kept them going. In 1969, as the world watched the Apollo 11 mission land on the moon, Anna and Dmitri sat together in front of their television, their hands intertwined. For Dmitri, it was a bittersweet moment, a reminder of the life he had left behind, but also of the new life he had built with Anna. As they watched the first steps on the moon, Dmitri turned to Anna and smiled. "We may be from different worlds," he said, "but we've made our own world together." Anna squeezed his hand, feeling the truth of his words resonate deep within her. They had defied the odds, crossed the lines that divided nations, and found something beautiful on the other side. And as they looked up at the moon, knowing that it was the same moon that shone over both east and west, they felt a sense of peace. No matter what the future held, they knew they would face it together, side by side.